members of the U.S. Armed Forces have just over a month to get vaccinated against COVID-19. In a memo, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced he is asking President Biden to mandate.
Hello, today I present to you an extremely attractive application for music lovers. It's completely free. You can listen to music online or download unlimited music to use whenever you don't have internet. The powerful search function helps you find anything you want. Trust me. It's hard not to find what you're looking for because the search function is really powerful. Application download link is attached in the description of the video. I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Thanks.
Full inoculation for all active duty troops by mid-September. But if the FDA grants full approval for a jab before that deadline, Austin will require vaccines immediately. Right now, more than 1 million service members are fully vaccinated out of a total of 1.4 million active duty troops. More than 237,000 have received at least one shot. For more on this, attorney Anthony Kuhn joins us now. He's a managing partner at Tully and Rinckey PLLC, representing service members, federal agents, and employees. Anthony, so our viewers understand, thanks for being with us. You served more than 2 decades in the United States military, and you represent service members, of course, in the military. As of now, as we said, 62% of service members are fully vaccinated. What are you hearing from service members about what General Austin is going to effectively mandate?
Good morning. Yes, thank you for having me. From what we're hearing, we've had hundreds of service members call our firm. They have concerns about taking this vaccination because it's not a fully approved vaccination yet. So we have service members who are reaching out to see what their rights and their options are with regard to this vaccination.
So this would be one of several vaccinations, required by service members. But I'm wondering, are there exceptions made when it comes to other vaccinations? How does it work if someone has a reasonable reason for not wanting to be vaccinated?
Yeah, so there are a few different options that these service members have. As we know, they have requested permission to do the mandate. And based on prior litigation, we know that we need either a presidential waiver because the vaccination is still experimental, or we need the FDA to fully approve the vaccination. If either of those two things happen, we expect the mandate to take effect. And if that happens, it would be very difficult for a service member to fight the mandate. But what they can do is they can request exemption or waivers. There are multiple reasons. The most common tend to be medical and religious reasons. So, for example, if an individual has a medical condition that they have legitimate concerns would worsen if they take the vaccination, they may apply and obtain a waiver. And then also individuals who have strong religious reasons, they may also obtain a waiver to not have to get the vaccination.
Let me read you a tweet from John Bolton, who, as you know, is former assistant to the president for national security affairs. Here's what he tweeted, and we mentioned this earlier too. This is a quote, ordering our military to take the COVID vaccine has deep and honorable precedence. With the Continental Army constantly threatened by smallpox, General Washington ordered all soldiers to be inoculated. If it was good enough for George Washington, it's good enough for me. The point that he's making here is that the military and the military leadership asking our troops to be inoculated against dangerous diseases has existed since the founding of the country. So why is it different today?
The big difference is that this is an experimental vaccination. And if you look back at the history that he points to, you will see that history is filled with issues where individuals were forced to take experimental vaccinations and suffered disabilities and illnesses as a result. People died from taking the anthrax vaccination. And as we now know, the federal court shut that mandate down, and the president at the time refused to sign the waiver, which would have allowed the DoD to continue to mandate that vaccination. With the current circumstances, we expect that the president will sign the waiver or that the FDA will fully approve the medication. When that happens, then we understand that it's a safer vaccine. People hopefully will have a lot of their concerns put to rest when the FDA fully approves the vaccination. And to echo what he was saying, or to clarify his point, it's a readiness issue. You have service members in close quarters with one another, especially in combat arms units. If one individual gets the COVID virus, then it's going to spread quickly and rapidly through the force, and it becomes a readiness issue. So that's what they're trying to avoid. We understand that, but at the same time, these service members, they would like to have a right to choose what they put into their body, especially if it deals with a experimental vaccination or an experimental drug.
So, Anthony, just real quick, if I can just follow up on that. So if the FDA grants approval to the vaccine, it will be much more difficult, for example, for a service member to say that they don't want to take the vaccine if one of the reasons given now is that it's still not approved.
That's correct. So we have many different vaccinations that we go through. When a service member deploys, there are many different medications that they will take or vaccinations that they have to have prior to their deployment to protect that service member and to protect the readiness of the unit. None of those vaccinations are experimental. The COVID-19 vaccination at this time is experimental, and there are protections for those service members. There are DoD regulations, there are federal statutes, and there's a presidential executive order if still in effect, that protects those service members from having to take experimental, or what the court in 2004 referred to as investigatory vaccinations. So once it's no longer an experimental or investigatory vaccination, it's going to be very difficult for those service members to fight the mandate.
So then what kind of repercussions could they face if they don't want to take a specific version of the COVID vaccine, or they refuse it altogether even after it's received full approval?
That's a good question, and that's the question that we get most often. Service members who don't want to take the vaccine, they want to know what are they looking at if they decide that they're not going to take the vaccine. Well, the reality is those service members could be punished all the way up to a court-martial and could actually face time in confinement. So we expect that many commands will have some empathy for that situation and will administratively separate service members. A service member could be administratively separated with an honorable discharge. It just depends on the command. It depends on the discretion of those commanders, because the other end of the spectrum is they could be court-martialed because it would be a failure to obey a lawful order, and it could be treated as a criminal offense.
Are you, Mr. Kuhn, are you seeing, is there a rush or a wave of service members that are reaching out to you, your office, and other attorneys, or, you know, does it mimic, I guess my question is, does it mimic the percentage of vaccine hesitancy we see in the country? I mean, I'm trying to understand if, for example, folks who are coming to your office are from one particular part of the country. I'm just trying to understand the demographics.
Sure. So it's a nationwide concern. We have offices across the country, and all of our offices are receiving a record number of calls. We've got hundreds of service members. Especially yesterday, we obviously received a flood of calls yesterday when there was the information was released about the request for the mandate. So it's important to know that there is no mandate. What happened yesterday is the Secretary of Defense is requesting permission from the president. In other words, requesting the presidential waiver to be able to enact this mandate. If the FDA does full approval, it's not necessary, but they need one or the other to be able to enact the mandate. We expect it's going to happen. And until yesterday, we have fielded those calls and we've let individuals know there's really nothing that can be done yet. So if there's no mandate, we can't fight the mandate. Now that we know the mandate is coming, the calls have increased, and now we're kind of getting ourselves in a position where we can start to take action, whether it's assisting with requesting waivers, medical, religious waivers, things of that nature, or fighting this in federal court. We have yet to see where this is going to go. I do expect that there will be a federal court battle over this mandate.
All right, Anthony Kuhn, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.